Hello Year 10. Today, in lieu of being in the classroom together, we are going to work through on consolidating our understanding of how Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany in 1933. Now, before we get going, you need to make sure that you have completed all of your work from last lesson on the actions of Hitler, von Papen, von Schleicher and Hindenburg. So if you remember, we were completing this table, or you may have been doing it in a different format in your book. I have attached the pages from the textbook on Satchel 1, so you should be able to access those just to make sure that you have all the information you need before we start our source work. So pause here, make sure you've done all of that, and then move on. So hopefully you have all of your information. We are today going to be looking at an exam question. This is normally question 2 on your Germany paper, and it will ask you the purpose of the source. It is an 8-mark question, and the first thing we're going to do is to annotate the source. So I'd like you please, in a moment, to pause here and go and annotate the source, and then we will have a look at it together. Hopefully you have now annotated your source. We're just going to have a check through to make sure that you've picked out all of the key details. So this is a cartoon from the British magazine Punch. The fact that this is a British magazine is something that you need to be paying attention to straight away. So we know immediately that this is going to have a negative view of Hitler and largely Germany. And we also know that Punch is a satirical magazine, which means that it is going to be making fun of things. This is from January 1933, which is when Hitler became Chancellor. So I would add that in. And he's being carried on the shoulders of Hindenburg, so that's this guy here, and von Papen, which is this guy here. This is quite a famous source. It's called the temporary triangle. The nature of it being temporary straight away is we know that Hitler was never intending for this to last long. Below they are singing "He's a Jolly Good Fellow," and we would link that to our knowledge of them underestimating Hitler, them thinking that they could manipulate Hitler. Remember that von Papen said that he could make Hitler squeak. We have Hitler on their shoulders looking quite determined. I would suggest that this alludes to the idea that he was using them to get power. It's also quite interesting that you have Hitler as the guy on top here, where you would expect realistically your president to be the one who is on top. We have in the background a Nazi rally going on with the SA there, and that can allude to the violence that Hitler carried out. But we've also got here things that might suggest that he had the support of the people. And we know that at the time, the votes for the NSDAP were increasing. So they had 30% of the votes in the Reichstag, remember. So we've done our source analysis. I would make sure that you have all of that annotated, and now we're going to have a look at the question. So the question is, what was the purpose of source X? And that's an 8-mark question. You need to remember that this is asking for you to talk about the purpose of the source. It is also asking to give your own knowledge of what was happening, as well as supporting that with information from the source. So we have purpose, source and knowledge. So I would be approaching this question by telling me what is the purpose of the source. And remember, purpose is not trying to show something. It may show something, but that is in order to do what? So if it's trying to show Hitler in a particular way, then what is it expecting people to do as a result of that? So you're going to tell me what is the purpose of the source. You are going to tell me what is happening at the time. So I would be expecting to see knowledge about the support for the NSDAP. I would be expecting to see information about how Hitler became Chancellor, information about the work of or the actions of Hindenburg, von Papen, von Schleicher, their weakness in underestimating Hitler. And then finally, you need to be telling me information from the source, so support that with inferences from the source. And then it's quite good practice to just bring it back to what the overall purpose was. Okay, so by the end of today's lesson, I'm expecting you to return to me a fully annotated source along with your attempt at this question. If you do have any questions or you would like any support, please do give me an email or drop me a comment on Satchel1. Good luck.